I'm so lame. Like, I live in Vegas now, and we didn't do anything because we found out there's going to be like 300,000 people on the strip, and I was like, I think I'll avoid it. It's too much energy down there, man. If people have attachments and shit. Just kidding. Okay, so anyway, Happy New Year, and I thought I would give you kind of a background on what has happened in my life of having a paranormal team. So let's start with Paranormal Challenge. So I had a really screwed up situation going on, which was, Aaron and I had done this team, the tall, skinny guy, and we had our Spanish friend that was with us. My other friend, her name was Lisa at the time, she was actually supposed to go with us to Jerome. She got so scared after she looked up the history of Jerome and backed out at the last minute. I had to call Garrison, which is my Spanish friend that was on Paranormal Challenge, to come with us, and thank God he did. Thank God he went. So, my cat just totally busted in this room. I just think that maybe he wants to say hello. By the way, this is Malcolm. We call him the Russian spy. He just acts like he would be a Russian spy. So we get to Jerome, we film at Jerome. We realize that Aaron believes he's had a possession on set. It stopped everything on set. Like, it shut production down. We were still mic'd up. Zach pulls me out in the hallway. He's like, do you really think he's having a possession? Aaron, lost his shit. He was cussing at me. He was calling me everything, and it freaked me out. I didn't know what to do, and so it halted for, it was somewhere between 3 and 6 hours because Aaron was not cooperating. He wasn't wanting to film, and no one really knew what to do. So thank God Zach was there to kind of coach me through that. It was kind of creepy and strange all at the same time. Aaron wasn't a person that would cuss you out, especially a woman. And so he was acting so crazy, out of his realm. That was actually the first time that I believed in possession, because I'm a skeptical believer, I guess would be my title. I have experienced so much stuff that I know it exists, but I'm one of those people that I want to experience it for myself. I want to see it. I want proof. And he was crazy. If you guys have watched the documentary on Ghost Girl Diaries, you know about it. He's sitting in this corner for hours by himself, not looking up, not saying anything, and finally he snaps out of it and he looks up. And he starts talking normal. How have you guys been? What are we doing? What's going on? He's totally confused. In the meantime, I had filmed some of it because I was like, there's no way Aaron's going to believe me that this happened. And I showed him the footage and he was shocked. He could not believe what he was saying, how he was acting, and he did not remember any of it. He didn't remember any of it. And Zach wasn't willing to record it and put it on camera. Zach believes that possession is something that's very private and personal, and unless the person is approving it, they shouldn't be kind of blackmailed basically into something they didn't even know was happening or was going on. So that sucked. That was really bad. So we ended up winning Paranormal Challenge. Unfortunately, they didn't show a lot of things that happened. I know SAG-APS had given a wrong EVP. There was also something that happened with their flare. They got the 2 faces that you saw on our episode with their flare, and the producers were convinced that they might have captured themselves in a mirror with the flare, and it was really bad, and they didn't announce that. They didn't want the other team to look worse than they already did. So anyway, we won. We were very proud of that. So we came back to Denver and we were ready to roll, and Aaron looks at me and he's like, I have to find my faith in God, and I cannot do this for a while, or maybe ever. And I was like, wait a minute, you gotta be shitting me here. We just won Paranormal Challenge, this is our time to shine, and we made a name for ourselves and all this stuff. And he's like, I'm too freaked out about what happened. And he's like, obviously I don't have enough faith in my life, and I have to step away from this for a while. And so I was pretty freaking shocked, to be honest, because Aaron and I had been friends for a very long time, and 7th grade long time, and I never expected him to say that to me. He was the first person, one of the first people that I actually went ghost hunting with. So that was hurtful and shocking, but whatever. I was hoping that he'd come back eventually. So in the meantime, I was like, okay, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing this. And so I hired this guy. I don't want to use their real name, so I am referring to them with maybe their initials, maybe not. So let's say MB is the next person that I hired, okay? M was this camera tech from the local university that was graduating in film, and so I thought he would know his shit. He ended up getting this big head and thought that because I was a woman, I had no idea what I was doing, and that really sat well with me, let me tell you something. So, long story short, him and I headbucked really bad. We ended up doing this documentary together. He ended up inviting his brothers and his mom along while we were investigating. In the documentary, you hear, "Mom, Mom." It's so terrible, and I was embarrassed. And he told me I was fighting a worthless dream with paranormal, and I was like, fine. And so we both gave each other the middle finger and walked away. So I don't even know where he's at. He's not doing paranormal anymore. In fact, I don't even think he's doing film. So in the meantime, I get a phone call from Aaron, and this is like a year or two later. And Aaron's like, hey, actually, yeah, it was a couple years later. So he's like, hey, I found my faith in God. I really miss investigating. Can you and I get back together and do this? And I was like, okay, let's do this. So in the meantime, before we went to Paranormal Challenge, I had to register our team name as a business, which was living proof of the paranormal at the time. And I made a business license out of it. It was only in my name under a nonprofit because it wasn't worth anything. And as a nonprofit, like, we were going into these homes and we were not charging to do this, so it was a nonprofit. I had bought a lot of ghost gear and film gear with my own money, mine. It was never shared with other people. And I guess that was kind of a part of the company, even though we never had like business accounts or anything. It was always out of like my personal bank account from my personal job, which obviously I wasn't getting paid from paranormal. So in the meantime, Aaron comes back. So Aaron and I are like, yes, let's do this. We start doing like little investigations again. And he's like, you know what? We still really need like one or two more people. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I ended up putting an ad out once again at the local university. Apparently I didn't learn the first time. And I hired this other guy named, what's his name? We're going to call him S. Okay, so S comes in, and S is like, yeah, I can do all this stuff, and I have all this equipment. I can use my stuff, and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, cool. So we do a couple of, like, serious investigations, and S realizes the power that we had from Paranormal Challenge because we're able to access locations saying we were season finale winners of Paranormal Challenge, so people trusted us then from Travel Channel. S decides to tell me that he believes all three of us should be on the business license and joint custody, joint own all of this equipment that I have bought, which has cost me thousands of dollars. And I'm like, hold up. Oh, nay, nay. Oh, nay, nay. Oh, nay, nay. You do not own that. There is no point in all of us being on the business license for LPP because I own all the equipment. It's not worth anything. Like, we're not going out making money for this. Like, I don't understand what you want. So Aaron comes to me with S, and they're like, we have this meeting, we have this production meeting, and they're like, if you don't sign over the business license to share with us, we are quitting. And I look at Aaron, I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. Like, this has gotta be a freaking joke. He's like, no. He's like, that's what we've decided, that we all want equal rights. I'm like, we have equal bragging rights from being on Paranormal Challenge. The business license is in my name because I own all of the equipment. Whatever. And on top of that, it wasn't worth anything. Didn't even make sense. And honestly, you really think that I'm just going to let some Joe Schmo from Kokomo walk in and then I'm going to hand him half or a third of the business? No way. I don't know this guy yet. Like, you haven't been around long enough to prove your worthiness to be a part of this permanently. So they both left. They left. So Aaron calls. Aaron's got some of my equipment. They have a bunch of evidence from all of the investigations. They never gave me copies of the evidence. They still never gave me copies of the evidence, and they ended up, I don't think it was Aaron, I'm going to be honest with you, but this other person ended up taking equipment, and I never saw it again. And that was the end of that. So I was pissed, to say the least. In fact, since then, it's been another couple of years, and Aaron and I are finally friends again on Facebook, but we are not close like we used to be, and I don't think we ever will be. I've never gotten an apology for that because I think it was ludicrous, and you know, he has his team going. I wish him the best of luck, but I don't really think they've done a lot, so good luck to him. I don't know. I get Blake involved. Blake decides, you know, he's like, I don't need to be on the business license. He's like, I'm just going to buy a bunch of shit. I'm going to buy a bunch of shit for the business, and then, you know, we can keep going with this filming thing. I'm like, holy crap, wow, that sounds great. So Blake invests a bunch of money on his own, and so we're starting to investigate, and we realize, you know what? This should not be called Living Proof of the Paranormal anymore. Living Proof of the Paranormal was Garrison, me, and Aaron, and that's who it needs to stay in time, and moving forward, I need something fresh. This was oriented towards me being the lead investigator, female front, which you guys know, that doesn't exist hardly at all. So we called it Ghost Girl Diaries because I am the ghost girl and these are my diaries. I'm opening up the book and this is the stuff I'm experimenting with, you know, and seeing as far as the paranormal world goes. So Blake and I are filming. We're doing really great. He's not like possessive where he needs business licenses in his name, which is so dumb. But long story short, we decide that we need to hire some more people because it's just impossible to do this on our own. So I decide this time I'm not going to go back through the university because these film student kids get this big head that they're going to be a director, which doesn't really even exist in reality TV. And they want to come in and take this shit over. And I'm like, I'm done with this crap. Like, I'm done with these, like, negotiating things with people that, you know, get built up in their head that they're the best director in the world just because film school. So moving forward, we decided to do like ads in the newspaper, ads on Craigslist, ads on some of the other little newspapers that were in Colorado at the time. And we ended up getting like, I think 30 people to apply. So what we were looking for was a video editor, a sound editor, and then another investigator. And hopefully they could do camera work too with us. So we find this other guy named, what am I going to name him? We're going to call him T. So T comes in. We'll just call him Ice-T. All right? Ice-T walks in, and he's like, yeah, I'm this video editor. I'm a badass. Da-da-da. I've been doing it for years. And like, brag. Should have seen the writing on the wall. I saw some of his stuff, thought it was good. So I was like, yes, you're hired. Yes, I like you. You're hired. So in the meantime, we hire this other girl, and we'll call her Coco. It's Ice-T and Coco. So Coco comes in, and she's like, I've never done this before, but I want to learn. And I'm like, you know what? That's a cool aspect to have, like another investigator that hasn't done this and doesn't have near the experience that I have. That'll give other people, you know, serious motivation to think that just because I haven't done a lot doesn't mean I can't. So we bring Coco and Ice-T on, and Coco has all this drama in her life. They knew it was an unpaid position, and I always, announce like no drugs, no ridiculousness going on because you're dealing with the afterlife and you don't know what can happen with that shit. So Coco's got all this drama going on, like horrible, horrible drama. I'm talking stuff that you wouldn't believe a human is going through. And I tell her, I'm like, you know what? Until you can like get your life together and things calm down for you, give me a call because I can't really help you out right now. Like, there's nothing I can do. You're letting like all of this like personal life issues affect when you're investigating, and then that, when you're in chaos and you're investigating, that can cause harm to the team, especially if you're dealing with something dark. So sorry I'm cutting you loose. She worked with us for like 6 or 8 months, but had to cut Coco loose. So now we've got Ice-T. So Ice-T apparently has social anxiety, which is cool because Zach's got social anxiety and I've worked with him. So Ice-T starts editing all this stuff for us, and so I'm starting to put it all on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. This was like 2 years ago. And I don't know what the hell he's doing, But I think he's doing raw editing, like from 0 to 100 on his own. No, he's like using copyrighted shit from other artists. And I'm getting notifications on YouTube that this is screwed up and I can't do this, and I'm stealing people's stuff and footage and layouts and editing and After Effects and all this stuff. And I'm like, I confront him about it. I'm like, dude, man, like, I like the way, you edit and stuff, but why aren't you being real with me? Like, you're not telling me that you're not editing this from someone else's perspective that they created. It's some template from somewhere. Oh, no, I didn't. It's all mine. I'm like, no, it's not, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And so he had a bunch of my equipment, and I was deathly afraid he was going to take it too. Like, I can't keep replacing all this shit, So I go over and I made him sign all of this confidentiality that, he's not going to release any of our footage, or I can sue him with my business license. And I got my shit back, and then I let him go. Actually, funny story, I do believe he is releasing our footage somewhere since I moved out of Colorado. He's been doing these little tiny paranormal conventions in the locations that we investigated at. And like, he's taking our footage and putting it on a projector and talking about it and making money off of it. And I'm really pissed about it. Do I want to go back to Denver and deal with this shit? Not really, to be honest. Like, if he has no other way to make an income, good for him then. Let him make some income off of my shit. I don't care, whatever. But like, I am so tired at this point of being screwed over constantly by people. So we get rid of iced tea and cocoa. So it's back to me and Blake. So me and Blake are like, shoot, what are we going to do? We need another chick. Like, the chick aspect was really good. So I hire this girl named, what do I call her? Shenanigans. I hired Shenanigans. Okay, so Shenanigans comes in. She doesn't have a lot of experience either, but she's really looking forward to doing this. And so I'm like, cool. So we do a couple of investigations with her. She's doing awesome. She's really open to learning. She's learned all of the paranormal vocabulary that you need to know. I'm training her on how to shoot footage, B-roll, night vision, all that stuff. I, train her on every single piece of ghost equipment that we own. She's doing great, and we come back. I even took her to LA to meet the agent that we were going to sign with. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she's on her social media talking about drugs all over the place and like how high she's getting and how good drugs are and like all this stuff. And I'm like, man, I cannot do this. Like, I told you from the beginning, I made you sign paperwork and a contract that says you will be drug-free. And I don't care if you do it in your personal life, but you cannot post that shit on social media. Producers are going to look at you. Production companies are going to watch us, and you cannot do that. And she refused to take it down. So I let her go after that. So she was gone. So there were a couple other people in between. I ended up hiring a girl by accident who ended up being a heroin addict, which is really safe around demons. Had to cut her loose. I don't know. Crazy people in the paranormal. Learn from me that you have to screen people tremendously. Do not hire people that end up taking your equipment. Don't trust anyone. I have to be honest with you. Don't trust anybody, because especially when you're investing this much money in not only film equipment, but production equipment for paranormal, like a freaking millimeter alone is almost $300, right, guys? Like, don't let people come in and steal from you and post stupid stuff on social media and be irresponsible in lockdowns. Please be safe with your team. Safety for your team needs to come first, because you just don't want anybody to get hurt. Like, I don't carry, I always make them sign medical papers that say I'm not liable for if you get hurt, if you're an idiot and you go provoke or whatever, So I don't know. I don't have any advice on how to find good team members. You need to find someone first that's very, very passionate about paranormal. And, you cannot have someone that's under the influence of drugs or alcohol when you're doing this, or you're going to be screwed. You're going to not only be allowing that person to be in a dangerous situation, but also you and other team members. So don't allow drugs to be involved. Plus, you've heard, like, the stupid stuff that went on, like the historical building, I think in Louisiana, ghost hunters broke into it and trespassed, and they ended up burning it to the ground, which is horrible. And that makes just the paranormal community in general look bad. So please be responsible when you're hiring a crew, because I've gone through some bad stuff, and I hope that you never ever have to go through the things that I have with hiring people. Blake is still on. Blake is still helping buy equipment. Blake is actually helping me do this channel. He's just always behind the scenes. Him and I are in this together for the long haul. We both really are passionate about paranormal, but we just can't seem to find any other links. And so I have taken a break and, still obviously looking to be signed by a production company. But in all honesty, I think the next time that this happens, I'm going to let the production company cast, because it's no one's fault that this happened. It's just I've been burned one too many times by people, and especially like people I thought were in it for the long haul, like Aaron. But everything happens for a reason. And you also have to remember everyone's on their own life path, and sometimes it's for the better when things don't work out. So I hope you guys had a great new year. I cannot wait to do another video for you. So I will see you soon, guys. Subscribe below. Follow me on social media. I'll see you guys soon.